For generations, humans have taken our magnificent planet for granted, falsely believing that our collective actions would not impact the Earth's vast ecosystems.
The 1,600-page report painting a dire picture. Experts say we have until 2030 to avoid catastrophe.
While the world continues to debate how to handle climate change, the facts are crystal clear.
Unfortunately, the climate is changing faster than our politics.
Politicians deny the problem as temperatures continue to rise.
Now more than any time in history, we must take a stance and let our federal leaders know it's time for a change. We're in Washington, D.C. right now with the Surfrider Foundation. We've brought over 150 activists from all across the country.
I'm from Hilo, Hawaii.
Lake Oswego, Oregon.
Seattle, Washington.
Florida.
Puerto Rico.
Massachusetts. I'm from Huntington Beach, California.
Brooklyn, New York.
We're going to be barnstorming Congress and meeting with our congressional representatives at the House and the Senate to urge them to take action on climate change, plastic pollution, and clean water. Every single day, the members of Congress are making decisions that are going to affect our oceans, our coasts, and our planet.
The Subcommittee on National Parks, Forests, and Public Lands will now come to order.
Democracy is not a spectator sport. If you want to make a difference, you got to show up.
We're gonna go in. Let's do this.
I think we all know that our coast and ocean are at the center of the climate change crisis.
Our beaches and our waves could literally disappear in our lifetime.
We are looking at king tides in Imperial Beach that provides us a window into what future sea level rise will look like. This is not an isolated incident. We are starting to see sea level rise across the eastern seaboard from the mid-Atlantic down to Florida, the Pacific Northwest. And we know that by 2050, we'll have a couple feet of sea level rise, which is going to impact coastal communities, infrastructure. And then when we get to the end of the century, when they're 6 feet, we will no longer see the communities that we presently live in.
The very beach that I grew up in my hometown, no longer exists due to coastal erosion. If we're not going to be changing here in our country with all the resources and the intellect and opportunities, then how is there going to be any hope or promise for the rest of the world?
I'm here to learn more about how I can engage in the political system. It's just crazy to see that 5,000 miles away from home is where some decisions are being made about home.
Thank you so much for your leadership. When we look at our federal priorities, it was just terrific to see.
I think I checked all of them off.
You're very impressive. You're like co-sponsoring almost everything.
We've had a great number of meetings today.
We got one more.
Everyone has been really receptive.
We're talking from the heart and with passion.
It's really inspiring.
We've come here to be a voice.
It's a pretty good haul for us out from northwestmost corner of the United States to get out here to the Capitol, so I think they appreciate the effort. Washington, we have a ton of coastline. We've already noticed the oceans absorb about 1/3 of all CO2 emissions, acidifying the water. Oysters, Dungeness crab, and many other organisms are unable to get past the larval stage because there wasn't enough nutrients for them to build their shell, which is a huge issue for us because as a state, we're dependent on our fisheries resources.
Massachusetts is a very coastal and maritime place. The Massachusetts Bay connects up to the Gulf of Maine, and that's the fastest warming body of water in the world. There used to be lobster fishery all along the Massachusetts coast, and now it's becoming increasingly economically unviable for lobstering to happen. These are issues that affect the Massachusetts economy, they affect Massachusetts people and our way of life.
So many of the issues that we're talking about have to be resolved by government, and so who you have in your government is really important.
I'm here today to talk about a bill that would allow park superintendents to ban single-use plastic bottled water in national parks.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Jenny Romer, Legal Associate for the Surfrider Foundation's Plastic Pollution Initiative.
Plastic pollution on our beaches and in our parks overwhelmingly comes from products that we use for just a few minutes, are discarded into the environment, and then persist on our streets, trails, waterways, and ocean for a lifetime. Bottled water generates avoidable greenhouse gas emissions throughout the process. From extraction of oil to manufacturing, to transportation, to disposal. Each of these steps generates emissions. Even when a bottle is recycled, there are emissions from manufacture and transport. These environmental harms are avoidable by drinking clean and safe tap water where available and using reusable bottles.
I just feel like Americans and people around this world have gotten lazy about doing what we need to do to keep ourselves healthy. I've been taking my own refillable bottle for probably over 10 years because I should be inconvenienced a little bit when it comes to the planet.
It's important to protect the place we love.
Climate change is happening.
There's a lot of work cut out for us.
Coming here on Capitol Hill with Surfrider, it really helped me to kind of lower my anxiety around politics. It allowed me to have a little bit more understanding and appreciation of the difficulty of the job.
At Surfrider, we're pivoting to focus on solutions so that we can go to bed at night and not be sad and wake up energized by our base because they want and they look to us for solutions.
There's a lot of opportunity for us to work together. We have the right people up here at the federal level who are ready to take action with us and work on policy that is good.
But we have to be here. We need to come in numbers and come with intellect and creativity, but most of all, passion.
Nature once determined how we survive. Now we determine how nature survives. Join us in demanding that Congress takes action on climate change now.